Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alec, videographer, photographer, and not a sound professional, so take this video with a grain of salt. But I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it today, compare two different microphones from very different backgrounds. We're going to compare the Shure MV7 podcast microphone, newer microphone, right? It's got XLR, it's got USB output. We're going to compare that with this guy right here. This is Peavey PVM 45 from 1986. Let's get started. Now, the reason I said you might be familiar with this microphone if you've been looking to get in a microphone recently is because this is from Shure. This is the newest offering from Shure, and this is to kind of, I guess, give creatives an option to get a microphone like the SMB7 without having to spend $400. This guy comes in at $250, has both a USB and XLR output, so it's kind of a more versatile package than the SMB7. But what I wanted to do today is a little bit different. I wanted to talk about the MV7, which is a $250 modern day option, versus this guy right here, the Peavey. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Peavey PVM dynamic microphone from 1986. So I lied. It's not quite 40 years old, but this is just a instrumental, multi-directional, omnidirectional microphone that would have been pretty popular to use back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, if you were in a band and you performed on stage with any regularity. You would probably have at least one, if not a few, of these microphones to pick up your instrumentals and maybe even for vocals. So what I'd like to do today is just talk a little bit about, is this still a viable option? This is a microphone that was literally designed and manufactured before streaming or even YouTube videos were a thing. I mean, this microphone was designed to be used on stage, so it's obviously not going to have a lot of the same features that something like the MV7 would have, but that's not really the point of this video, right? What I want to do is just compare audio quality between this guy, the PVM 45, and this guy, the Shure MV7 that I'm using right now, and I don't know, see if this is still viable. See if you could buy one of these. By the way, if you do some Google searches, you can find a PVM 45 or similar model to this for $30 or so. I mean, these are cheap and they're everywhere. Like I said before, if you were a stage performer back in the day, if you were in a band back in the day, you would have quite a few of these, and so they are still around. So before we get into the, what everyone's here for, the actual audio comparison, which I promise is coming very soon, but I just want to go over a few of the technical specifications between the Shure MV7 that you're hearing me on right now and this Peavey PVM 45 stage mic. So one of the interesting things that caught my eyes is that the frequency response. Now, if you look here at the Shure frequency response, we see 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's about as good as any modern day headphones would get. So that's about all you're going to hear, and that's about as good as human hearing gets. So that's pretty dang good. But now if we look at the Peavey frequency response, we get 40 hertz to 16,000 hertz. Now, this is not bad. So the main difference here that you can see in the pattern chart for the Peavey is that we have a more omnidirectional presence. Now, that could be a downside, right? If you plan to use the Peavey microphone for streaming or anything like that, where you might have mechanical keyboard sounds also happening at the same time, or clicks of your mouse, or maybe you even want to run audio through speakers instead of through a headset while you're gaming, the Peavey is going to struggle a little bit there because it doesn't have as much rejection on the sides or on the back. Because it doesn't have as much rejection as the MV7 on the back or on the sides, you will be able to pick up or hear more of that sound coming through, more of that unwanted sound coming through on the PVM 45. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Audition. You can see the video audio track, I suppose, this video's audio track as it stands so far, and you can see it recording now. You can see the input level coming in. Now, this track so far is the Shure MV7 running through the Behringer UM22 with the gain set at about, I would say 9 on the dial or so I'm not sure exactly what that translates to, but just so that you get a good sense, I'm just going to keep talking here for a second. This is the Shure MV7 going through the Behringer UM22 on an XLR cable about 20 feet long. All right, so now let's switch over to the Peavey PVM 45. Okay, so now I'm talking on the Peavey PVM 45, and now to be fair, I lost the original pop filter, and you can probably hear that. I lost the original pop filter to this microphone a while ago, so I've gotten this shitty little Amazon replacement with a hair tie around it. Okay, so now that we've got a pop filter on the Peavey, this is going to be hopefully as close as I can get it in terms of pop filtering to the Shure MV7 standardized, but here we go. Now you're hearing the Peavey PVM 45 super cardioid microphone. What do you think? How does this compare to a microphone that is 34 years newer? I mean, is this usable? Does this sound all right? Would you use this for a podcast or for a stream or a YouTube video? I personally used this microphone for multiple years on my streams, and I didn't have anyone complaining about audio quality. Now, obviously, this is going to just differ depending on what your use case is, but overall, for $30 or less on the used market, it's not bad. Now, here's a caveat to that. The Peavey PVM 45 is XLR output only. Now that means it's $30 for the microphone, but you have to have some sort of interface to run this through and essentially turn the XLR input or output into USB. So that is not cheap either. I mean, generally speaking, you can pick up an audio interface for $100 or so if you want just an inexpensive one, but that's still something extra that you have to do to get this 40-year-old microphone working versus the Shure MV7. You could just plug it in and it would be working. So obviously this isn't an ideal solution, but it's kind of fun just to compare the audio quality between two microphones of very different eras and see if the old microphone holds up. Okay, let's switch back over to the Shure now, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so we're back on the Shure MV7 now. What do you think? What's the difference here? Personally, I do notice an audio quality difference. It's hard not to notice an audio quality difference, but what surprises me is just how close these two microphones of completely different eras are. The Peavey, in my opinion, obviously because I used it for some time, is still a viable microphone. It still sounds good. You can still hear me, and I would say it beats out most of the headset microphones that you're going to hear a lot of Twitch streamers using these days. So, do you need to spend $250 on a Shure MV7? Depends on your scenario. I mean, there's definitely a use case where the Shure MV7 makes a lot more sense. If you're podcasting but you're always on the go, and you don't want to carry an XLR cable and an XLR interface just to plug into your laptop while you're on the go, well, the Shure has just a USB output that sounds pretty good. And so there's definitely some advantages to this new microphone. But if you're just trying to say, hey, I need this $250 microphone because of how it sounds, you might be in the wrong thought process there. You might want to step back and say, what features do I need? Do I want to run through an interface, or do I want to have it go straight into the computer? Do I want to be able to record it externally through like an XLR recorder? What are my scenarios that I'm going to be using this microphone? You know, there's a lot of different things to think about. And personally, I would just say, I hope this video helps you think a little bit more about those other attributes to a microphone that are less moldable. Right? Sound is kind of moldable. If you're recording it, you can change it a lot after the fact. And if you're doing it live, I mean, you're competing with a lot of people that are using headsets. So maybe the best sound quality live isn't your number one priority. But these are things to think about. And I hope that this video maybe helped you think a little bit more about that. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. That's all I've got today. This was just kind of a fun, random video comparing two microphones that I've used in the past and I thought might be useful for you guys. So if you enjoyed, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content. I did say that there would be a video coming Friday of this week and I missed it, so consider this Saturday video a Friday video. The Sunday podcast is also going to be a little bit weird. I am leaving on a work trip 1 p.m. Sunday. I'm going to bring, like I kind of mentioned in this video, if you're on the move you might think about the Shure. I'm going to bring the Shure microphone if I can and bring my laptop and see if we can still make the podcast happen while I'm out of state, but it might have to get pushed back until next weekend. Also, I will definitely be missing my uploads for Tuesday and Friday of this next week, but that being said, I'm going to be trying to get a couple of different videos made while I'm out in the field, so we'll see how those turn out if they do, and hopefully I can just upload a whole bunch of videos next weekend when I get back home. So again, I appreciate you guys a ton for watching these videos. It means a ton to me. If you have any video recommendations, any ideas, anything that you'd like to know, questions, anything like that, leave it in the comments down below. I read every single one of them, pin the ones I like or heart the ones I like. I don't know. But thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you soon.